Folks, welcome to a brief update with regard to the technical condition of Bitcoin. We're going to spend some time on the chart. A very, very volatile week last week. I did some analysis on December the 16th, and here's what I said about Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum in the short term. Same deal here for RSI. Now, RSI for Bitcoin at current on a weekly basis is at 89.16. Folks, it can go higher, but you have to anticipate a correction in the next couple of weeks. And I'll leave off with Bitcoin here with the fact that our volume bars, which were rising, are now beginning to decline. So that's not a good sign when you see that Bitcoin is making new all-time highs. So watch your volume. The lower these volume bars get, the less participation you're seeing on the part of big traders, institutions, and it's more and more mom and pop buying a couple of bits of a Bitcoin. All right, so I predicted that there would be a reaction, a correction in all three of these currencies. Now we're going to talk today about Bitcoin, and what I want to first illustrate for those folks who are trading these cryptocurrencies and do not have experience with the charts, you need to learn how to identify extreme overbought and extreme oversold levels on the charts, and that's what I do. So seek guidance. I have a bronze level. Sign up for the bronze level. It's a very, very reasonably priced piece of analysis, and I include the cryptocurrencies. So stay on top of the charts of the cryptocurrencies, because a lot of you are out there, you bought at the highs or close to it, assuming that there could be no end in sight for the upside potential. You're listening to the talking heads on CNBC, all over YouTube, and I've watched them too, and they have no idea of what they are talking about in terms of technical analysis. Now, I mentioned that we would expect a reaction. We got the reaction, a severe correction. Is the bubble popped? No. Don't go listening to the talking heads on CNBC. I've seen them on Twitter already clamoring that they called the top on Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies that corrected last week. We haven't seen a top yet. We don't know if that was the top. Far too quick to gain some notoriety. And probably 2 weeks ago, before the correction occurred, they were probably saying, buy Bitcoin. There's no end to the upside potential. Now, all of a sudden, they're bears on it. So I digress. Where do we stand right now with Bitcoin? Bitcoin is still overbought, if you can believe it. Relative to, it's hard to see it in here, it's in green, but the 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band, I prefer the 3 standard deviation Bollinger Band. Let's update the Bollinger Bands. Okay, so here you have it. Here's our 3rd standard deviation Bollinger Band, and I've also changed the band color to make it easier to see. All right, so you could see that we were up and into the 3rd standard deviation Bollinger Band around the time I was talking about, and this is a weekly chart, around the time I was talking about the chart of Bitcoin, and I posted that video, and I said that I expected a reaction. I didn't know when it was going to come, but I knew it was going to come fairly soon. How did I know? How did I know that we were going to see a correction? It was fairly easy. And I don't like to talk a bunch of technical jargon when I'm discussing charts. I like to keep it simple. And when you're trading up and into your 3rd standard deviation Bollinger Band on a weekly basis, you're not supposed to be there. Add to it your relative strength indicator. I've just added the RSI here. We had RSI at that time at about 90 on a weekly basis. So you don't want to use any one chart in particular to say that a stock is overbought or oversold and then make your trade. You want to combine price, volume action. And I mentioned during my last video, here's what I had to say about the price action on Bitcoin and that we saw some profit taking. Here we go. For the price action on Bitcoin, we are trading considerably above the upper band of resistance. 2 weeks ago, you saw a tremendous amount of profit taking as noted by the wick on this candlestick. You saw some the prior week, but nowhere near as much as the week prior to last. All right, so you can see that the market sends you signals, right? Uh, we can clamor about the fact that the markets are corrupt. That's why we need to have Bitcoin. The government's corrupt, yada, yada, yada. Listen, if you're not familiar with the charts, you're going to go broke in this market, no matter what you're trading. I don't care if you're trading tulips. You need to learn the charts, because these salesmen that come on to CNBC, they want to take up parking space in your head so that you go buying your Bitcoin at the highs and selling at the lows. Don't let them get in your head. So when you take a look at the candlesticks, as I just mentioned on my last video, these are indications that you saw profit takers moving in for 3 consecutive weeks. Add to that, RSI was at 90, and we were trading up and into your third standard deviation Bollinger Band where we're not supposed to be. The stars were in alignment for a sell-off. So this should be no surprise that we got this sell-off for people that are familiar with technical analysis. Now, I mentioned earlier that you're going to have people out there that were once very bullish, now very bearish. The bubble has popped. What is my response to them? My response is that they're being way too quick to call an end to the rally in Bitcoin. Now, am I ready to go buying Bitcoin? Is it at a price point technically where, because we don't know the value of it fundamentally, right? So we need to trade it purely on a technical basis. So am I ready to go buying Bitcoin now? Absolutely not. Now, do I see myself buying Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, any one of these cryptocurrencies? Sure. If the chart sets up technically, sure, why not? We remain in a bull market here. Now, one strategy I would employ is that we want to use the charts to identify historical trends. Now, with the case of Bitcoin, and I'll do future videos. If you wanted these in the future, just subscribe to my channel, hit that subscription bell button, and give me a like if you would. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, the rising 20-period moving average here in red has historically, like back here in July, back here in September, has acted as a rising floor of support for Bitcoin. So that's an area where I would consider opening up a position. Now, for this to occur, we either A, have to trade sideways until this 20-period moving average catches up to the price action, or we need to pull back. Now, what else I am identifying about this chart here is that we bounced right off of the 11,000 mark. So it's at that point where we've identified that we have buyers below. So when you take the rising 20-period moving average and it intersects with the 11,000 mark, well then that becomes an interesting point where one might consider opening up a position. But that's only one scenario. That's only one strategy I have right now. But I'll be talking about it more with members in the coming week and weeks, because cryptocurrencies, they're here, right? They're certainly a sector of the investment universe that we can no longer ignore. Now, do I believe that they are a store of value? Are they a currency? No, of course not. I think there's a lot of risk here. Now, in terms of those people talking about this being a bubble and it's burst, and please give me a break. You don't know whether or not a bubble has burst until you see a counter trend rally higher. Right now, we're in a brief correction here. We're going to get a rally higher. Now, I would be more inclined to agree with those people that have said that this bubble has burst if we get a lower high and then we roll over and then we take out this prior low. What that means is that the path of least resistance has gone from up to now down. So that's the time where I would say, okay, the charts have sent a signal that the rally in Bitcoin and probably all the cryptocurrencies is now over, and the path of least resistance is down. The bubble has burst, and the best thing to do is to short these vehicles using ETFs that are coming out soon, or using the futures market. So that's it. If you're long of Bitcoin right now, I wouldn't panic. You saw some buyers last week. They bid Bitcoin well off the lows. Let's go to a daily chart. Okay, so you can see that on RSI, the froth is really coming off the RSI. That's a good thing. That sets the stage for another move higher. Now, if you're currently long of Bitcoin and you know what, you just want your money out, rest assured you're going to get another higher high, but you're going to have resistance levels above. Primarily, resistance level number 1 is going to be right here at 15,831. That was support back here in early December, a few days ago. Then resistance level number 2 is going to be here. You're going to see more sellers move in at 17,000. Let's call it 17,379. And then, of course, you're going to have real serious resistance up at the all-time high. So those are the levels where, if you definitely want to get your money out, those are where you would want to think about selling your Bitcoin. Because even during, let's go to the chart of the semiconductors. And if you want to watch my video with regards to the cryptocurrencies buy or bubble, I'm going to link to it at the end of this video. So check it out. Let's go take a look at the semiconductor sector back in 2000. And I'll show you that we did, in fact, rally back after a severe sell-off. And everybody thought the bubble had popped, and it had. But we did get a rally back, and we saw the rally fail. And then, of course, we knew after we broke down to new lower lows that the bubble had burst. And the path of least resistance was to the downside. Let's go through it. Okay, so here you have it. We had found a top. This is the semiconductor sector, the SMH, going back, I should say ETF, the semiconductor ETF, SMH, going back to the peak in 2000, March of 2000. I know exactly where I was on that day. It was in the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. So here was our peak. And we had a huge, huge sell-off in April. And everybody thought there's no way it's going back up. What happened? We consolidated, we rallied back, and we came within, let's call it 4 points of the all-time highs. But then what happened is that we began to put in lower highs. And once we broke down below this low here, it was all over for the semiconductor sectors. You had to buy into the fact that the boom had now gone bust. So again, I'm going to wrap up here. Don't let these guys on social media, CNBC, Bloomberg, don't let them take up parking space in your head. Have the confidence that you will get a rally back. Do we take out all-time highs? I wish I knew. I don't know. And anybody says that they do know is a snake oil salesman. And if you're going to take advice from any of these people, make sure that they have a history of either posting their opinion, date stamped on a third-party website, social media like I do, on YouTube, Stock, Twitch, or Twitter, and see how accurate they have been in their forecast. I think I called this one pretty accurate. So if you have any questions or comments, if you watch this on YouTube, leave a comment below. I'll get back to you. If you would subscribe to my channel and just click that notification bell, you'll get alerted of when I send out new videos. If you watch this on Stock, Twitch, or Twitter, give me a follow there. Our gold and silver memberships are closed. Bronze is open. And our bronze level members are first to get notified of when spots are open in gold and silver. Why do I do that? I need to pay a lot of one-to-one time with our members. I'm a boutique operation. I'm not into churning and burning new members. We're about engagement and quality of information. So check out bronze level membership. Bronze and silver are closed. Everybody have a great Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. And I'll talk to you soon. Be well.